Interesting. Very interesting.
1-0. No, it's not. Oh, what a great goal. The place has gone absolutely mad. Oh, and that's a screamer. Brilliant, brilliant. Goal, goal, goal. Brazil.
Jack Charlton, the grinning Geordie, loyal to Leeds, where his honours included the club's first FA Cup in 1972. His achievements, managing the Republic of Ireland, were rewarded with Irish citizenship. Who could forget, though, his 1966 glory with his own country? And as we sat in the changing rooms at Wembley, another trophy came to mind.
At the end of the game, I got stopped as I came off the field to go for a drugs test. And out of 6 games, my name came out of the hat 4 times. And I had to go, and everybody was down here getting drunk and having a big party, and I was sat in there, and they kept giving me bottles of fluid to drink so that I could go and wee in the bottle. And I remember that when it was all over and I'd done my thing into the bottle and they'd taken it away and I could come out, the medical crew gave me a bowler hat in plastic, and it had written round it, presented by the medical crew to the Jimmy Riddle Cup to Jack Charlton. And they presented me with it. And I came in with it on my head and I came at the dressing room with the lads. 4 times out of 6.
We've seen on many occasions now, the World Cup final in '66. But I never quite understood why you made the header 2-1 up with minutes to go. Was it a foul?
I never saw the guy, actually. The ball bounced, and I was looking at the ball in the air come down, and I ran and jumped ahead the ball, and I finished up on top of somebody who was backing under me. And I finished up rolling over the top of him, and the referee gave a free kick against us. Strange enough, in the next World Cup, they actually showed that to the referees before the game and asked their opinion of what they were given. And they said, most of them, well, 90% of them said, that they would have given the free kick the other way because the guy made it back for me. But to tell you the truth, I really never saw him. Just the ball bounced, I jumped ahead it, and I went over him. But with that, cost us a goal. I mean, right in the last thing, we didn't even kick off again. The ball hit George Coon on the knee, flew across the... I think it was Haller actually handled the ball, because the ball hit him under the arm and it killed the pace of the ball going across the goals. And it fell in front of Weber. And he got there a 100th of a second in front of Ray Wilson and nudged him with his... I mean, if you ever watch it, you'll see Bobby Moore put his hand up because the guy handled the ball. And we looked at the linesman, looked at the referee, and he'd gone that way. Oh, Jesus.
Now, will the Germans snatch a dramatic equaliser and bring us to extra time? It's Emmerich coming in. And he's... Oh, yes, it must do! They have done! Weber has scored in the last seconds!
And then Alf came across, and he said, we sat on the ground, and he came across and he says, we've won it once, now you're going to have to win it again. And then he said, now stand up, we don't want these Germans to think we're tired, do we? So we had to stand up. I mean, it was... No team talk or anything, you know, we just got rubbed down and went back into the extra time.
Arguably one of the best teams that England have ever produced, '66, and many of those players went on to play in '70 in Mexico. You were one of those players, but it was the last campaign you ever played for England.
Yeah.
Disappointed?
Our kids as well, we both finished in Mexico. We both... That was disappointing. That was you know, I didn't play. They didn't play me against the Germans. They played Brian LeBone. And Labby came to see me before the game and apologized and said he was playing and I wasn't. You know, and I said, hey, Brian, get on with the game. It's your business, kid. You know, I watched the game for until the Germans scored the first goal, and then I left the stadium. And I went into a cafe down the road, and I waited to see the crowd come out after full time. And nobody came out. So I went back just in time to see the Germans get the winner. And they beat us 3-2.
Why did you leave? Why did you leave?
I couldn't stand the tension. I just didn't didn't like the way things were going at the time. And I didn't want to watch it.
Did you sense that something strange?
Yeah, maybe I did sense something was strange was going to happen. But anyway, I mean, the strange thing was the Ubizila goal, the equaliser, when he's running that way and he puts his head around, the ball hits him on the back of the head and lobs over Peter Benetti into the far corner of the net, and you go, oh. I knew we were going to lose then. I don't know why, but I knew we were going to lose then. But I'd come back to the stadium when I saw that one. I hadn't seen that goal until I saw it on television. It was the winning goal I came back for when I had to sit through the extra time. It wasn't pleasant in the dressing room afterwards.
A good ball. Hold on!
Jack, you're a one-club man. The club was Leeds United. You won the League Cup and the Fairs Cup in '68. In 1970, here at Wembley, you played Chelsea. You should have won, but you didn't.
No, we didn't. I was surprised in the game that, I mean, the goals came from out of nothing.
20 minutes gone, no score. And it's a goal! It's a goal! I think it's Charlton. 20 minutes, Leeds have taken the lead. Houseman, Pewit scored! Remnant to Giles. Clark, it's hit the post. A goal, Jones. Jones has done it. And to Hollins from the free kick. Hutchinson, a goal.
It shook me, and we finished it drawn 2-2 after extra time, and then went away back to Old Trafford to play the next match. But apparently the people have looked at the game and couldn't believe how violent the game was. I mean, we had it's a strange fact. We got on probably better with the Chelsea players than anybody else in the league. We knew them all, and we were all pals. And I mean, but there was no quota given once you got on the field. But after the match, you had a drink or two, or a pint or two, or a chat. I mean, they were always good lads. I mean, Peter Osgood turned up to see me at a dinner I was doing over in Enfield, and I sat with Peter for a while, and it was, I mean, it's not enemies in any way, shape or form. I no thoughts of what happened in the past. That was all gone. But that was where the game was in those days, funnily enough. You could kick each other at bits on the park, but you were always pals when you came off. I mean, it was into the players' lounge, have a drink or two, have a laugh. And what happened out there was your business. What happened in here was your relaxation.
When Leeds United got it right on the field, they were superb. Occasionally, they got it wrong. West Bromwich Albion at Eldon Road.
Well, we didn't get it wrong. I mean, it was a game that we had, we needed to draw the game. And the referee gave an unbelievable decision. I mean, the guy was standing, even the linesman put his flag up, and the referee turned around and waved the play on and ignored him because it was a ball that ricocheted off one of their players to one of their players who was still coming up 10 yards behind us all. And we all just stood and watched him go on. On top of that, there was only speaking between him and the goals, and Jeff Astle went across there and he knocked the ball across to Jeff Astle, who then knocked it in the net.
And Leeds will go mad, and they've every right to go mad, because everybody stopped with the linesman flag. There is no doubt that the linesman had his flag up, no doubt that Mr. Tinkler waved play on, but the vital fact is that there was a moment's hesitation by the referee which caught Leeds absolutely dry with no chance of relieving the situation. The goal coming after 24 minutes, West Bromwich Albion leading by 2 goals to 0, and the goal followed by a 3-minute hold-up.
So we had two of the most diabolical offside decisions on air. And actually, the crowd went a little bit crackers at that time because we got beat 2-1 in the game.
The players weren't too happy about it, as I recall,
We weren't
either.
too happy about it either. It started really, the bad name that Leeds United crowds got, because then we started to attract the wrong sort of people from all over Yorkshire. I mean, the people in Leeds were great, but every lunatic in the world, it was like, if you want a battle or you want some aggravation, get to Leeds United on a Saturday and it'll occur.
But you were a great side, and let's just touch on one or two of those wonderful moments. I remember you playing against Southampton at Ellen Road.
Yeah, that was it, 7? We won 7-0 or something like that. Yeah, I remember it. The possession football and the way we knocked the ball about and that, and Southampton hadn't an answer to anything we did.
Clark out to the left. In comes Clark. Gray through to Lorimer. Jones coming in. Number 2. On for Clark. Giles. Free kick against Stokes. No, it's not given, but here's Lorimer. And I think that must count as an own goal. Bry giving it straight to Peter Lorimer for number 5.
And in fact, I remember saying to Norman Hunter, we were stood at the back and I was getting bored to death, you know, and I said to Norman, let's go and get a goal. And if you ever watch it, Norman went down the left-hand side, crossed the ball to the middle, and I headed it in at the far post. And we had decided that we'd go and join in the fun.
Well, I said he wanted a goal. You can see what he feels about it by the smiles. Gray. Held off. Lorimer's underneath it. In comes Jones.
In 1972, the cup final that you won, I remember Mick Jones having an outstanding day, but it was Alan Clark that got all the plaudits.
Well, Clark scored a goal, which he would. I mean, Mick Jones dislocated his shoulder going to the dead ball line and pulling the ball back, and Clark came in, headed the ball and scored the goal. So obviously, if you scored a winning goal in a cup final, you're going to be the hero. I mean, nobody objected to Alan being the hero of that. We all sympathised with Mick, because you're like...
Did Mick Jones really get the acclaim that perhaps he should have done? Because I thought he was a terrific player.
I don't remember whether Mick ever played for England. I think he did, but I don't think he played very many times. But with us, he was sort of the strength of the team up front. I mean, there was always a target man to hit, who you knew would change the direction in the play of the ball. And Mick was like that. That was his, you know, bringing other people into the game. That was one of his great strengths. And he's got a few goals as well with heads. He's good at elbow.
Billy Bremner, the Leeds captain. Behind him, David Harvey, the last-minute choice. Paul Reaney, who missed the final 2 years ago with a broken leg. Johnny Giles, chewing gum. Norman Hunter. Paul Madeley. Mick Jones, the Leeds striker. Bob McNabb grinning in the background. That's Peter Lorimer. Now Eddie Gray. Mick Bates, the substitute. Alan Clark and Jack Charlton, following his usual superstitious routine, always the last man out. Bremner good enough and strong enough. This is Clark. They got 3 against 3 again. And Jones took a defender with him, but Clark can't get in a position to shoot. Jones. It just agonisingly went inches wide. Ball and Charlton won it, and again. George, beaten by Charlton. Now Madeley. Number 7, Lorimer. Mick Jones out on the right. Number 9. Trying to take on McNabb on the outside. He's round the back. Clark. 1-0. The referee receiving help from the Leeds supporters who believe he should blow. It's Simpson for Arsenal. Charlton won it. Lorimer for Leeds, and Leeds have won the cup for the first time in their history. And Don Revie being congratulated first by Bertie Mee. And Jack Charlton at 37 on Monday gets one of the few honours he hasn't won in the game. And who's down there? Mick Jones injured in the last incident of the match. Totally unselfish in his running. Les Cocker's having a look at him. He collided with Barnett. And look at this. It could be a dislocated shoulder or an arm. And what a tragedy for Leeds at the moment again of their greatest triumph. And so, at last, Leeds have got what they've deserved, a major trophy. Jack Charlton receives the winner's medal and also the plinth. What a tragedy in the centenary final, and what a moment of emotion. Jones, who laid on the winning goal, receives the congratulations of the Queen. The medal already firmly clutched in the left hand, with the arm damaged.
You've had a magnificent footballing career, but your managerial career is, well, incredible. You retire in 1973, you take up a post at Middlesbrough. Was that almost like a managerial apprenticeship for you?
No, I was involved in coaching. I was a staff coach when I was about 27 with the FA. And I used to go coaching and working and learning to talk and teach and things like this. And I spent a lot of time with Don Revie in his last year as a manager at Leeds. So Don would talk to me about the problems in the game and how to handle them, what to do. And then I got offered the job at Middlesbrough. And Doug Phillips offered me the job when I was with the England team. So I retired in '73 and I went to Middlesbrough. I've always been a bit dogmatic in my way I think about the game. You know, I look at the team I've got and then I work out a way that I want them to play with the appropriate players that are there. And we had a guy called Alan Foggan. So we invented a game which was what we call using a midfield runner, which is Alan was not the best player in the world, but he was the quickest. He was, like, as a schoolboy, 220 yards champion of Great Britain or England or whatever. And we wouldn't allow the players to give him the ball in midfield. And at that time, the game of football was about everybody was playing the offside situation, all dashing up playing offside. So you were getting the forward players, as soon as you turned off, they're offside. And it took me till Christmas to get David Mills and John Hickton to feed to the ball instead of turning to run for it. Because we played balls to wide people, and then Alan Foggan would start to run, they'd feed to the ball. As it came to play outside, we got a midfield runner going in, and we just played the ball behind people. And we murdered that division that year. I think we finished it winning by about 17 points. And I actually made me manager of the year that year in front of Bill Shankly. I was sat with Bill in Glasgow. And when he announced the manager of the year is Jack Charlton, and Bill leaned across and went, "You owe me £1,000." He said, that was what you got. "You owe me £1,000."
You took it away from him.
I said, "I'll give you the check. I'll give you the check, Bill. I'll give you the check."
It's sometimes very difficult to get a player to recognise the difference between playing the game and winning. Graham Souness recalls that it was you that made him realise the difference between the two. You must take a lot of satisfaction in that.
Well, Graham came to us as a... When I first saw Graham playing at Middlesbrough, when I first went, he was on the left-hand side playing as a fullback. Graham never had the pace to be a fullback or a left or right-sided midfield player. He was good enough player and a great passer of the ball, but he didn't have that yard of pace. So I moved him into centre midfield, which gave... You don't really need... You need somebody strong and solid in there, and Graham was strong and solid and a very good passer of the ball. But I got Graham out. We spent a bit of time on Graham on things like great right foot, good strike of the ball. And I would get him to always feed to where people would head the ball to the right-hand side of the 18-yard box. So that balls that were played out in there, he would come into on his right side. And he scored a lot of great goals for us. But he was a listener, Graham. He's a very bright lad about football. And he would, if you didn't agree with you, he would tell immediately, because he used to go. When everybody else was just sort of looking at you, he'd go. So you'd say, well, what do you think? And he'd maybe just put a little point here about something, which made sense.
You had a long spell at Sheffield Wednesday, and then you went to Newcastle United.
I actually went to Middlesbrough before I went to Newcastle United. Malcolm Allison had got the sack at Middlesbrough, and a friend of mine, I'd done 5 years at Sheffield Wednesday, and then I was sort of having a break. And a friend of mine called Mike McCulloch phoned me up, who's the chairman at Middlesbrough, and said, would I come back and keep them in the division? So I said yes. And I went back, and then Mike started to talk to me about signings for the summer and doing contracts and things. And I said, no. I said I would come here and keep you in the division. But the moment I've finished and done that, I'm on the train home, and I'm finished. And I mean, because I didn't want the job at Middlesbrough again. It's not right to go back to something. I didn't want the job at Middlesbrough again. And I never took a penny off them. I never took a wage, never took expenses. I just did the job, kept them in the division, and then left. I was still great friends with Mike at this time, I mean, but he would tell you that that's exactly the way it happened. And then I went to Newcastle.
When you got to Newcastle, you discovered a young man called Gascoigne, or at least you gave him his first contract.
Yeah, Gazza was one of the kids. I mean, the year I was there, we won the Youth Cup. And Gazza played in the Youth Cup with the kids. But I used to go and watch the kids. But he was always a joke. He was always, I mean, Glenn Roder, who was his best friend now. Glenn used to came to me a couple of occasions and said, if you don't get that little off my back, he said, I'm going to punch him. Because he used to he used to tie his bootlaces together and he'd pinch his socks and do silly things, and Glenn didn't, you know. But a lot of the lads complained about Gazza, but it was just fun. He was just a nice kid. I signed him at 17 for Newcastle United. I gave him his first contract, which was £100 a week and £100 put in the bank. So he had a 4-year contract up to his 21, and he got £100 a week. Because Gazza's a very generous boy. If you said to Gazza, you know, you went to the bar or something, he will always be the one that buys the drinks for everybody. And he was the same then. So he got 100 quid a week to spend, and the rest of it was in a bank account for him, and he got it when he was 21.
Your relationship with the Republic of Ireland starts in 1986. What motivated you to take the job?
I didn't have a job at the time, and they asked me. He just asked me. I got a phone call, and Des Casey said, you know, would you be interested in the job? And I said, yes. He phoned me a month later and said, I'm still interested in the job, and I said, yes. He phoned me, and then Jimmy Arm phoned me a week later and told me that I got the job. And I mean, it was as simple as that, and I went. I didn't know Southern Ireland that well. I'd played there a few times with Leeds, but I know loads of Irishmen. And when I went over there, I walked up the streets and I walked around, and everybody stopped me, shook hands, wished me all the best in the job. I didn't have one moment of anybody being nasty or silly, which is the way the Irish are. And got on with the game and got on with the trying to create a team that would please people for a change.
You qualified for the European Champions in 1988. Mm-hmm. You come up against England, what's going through your mind?
How to beat them. I mean, you sell your services. If I was at Leeds United and I got transferred to Newcastle within a day, I'm a Newcastle man, not a Leeds United man. In the same way that it is international football. I'm an Englishman. I mean, I would want England to beat everybody else in the world, but I didn't want them to beat us. Because I'm the manager there, and that's my job, to get results for them. And England never did manage to beat us.
Great day for the Irish, and one of the heroes of 1966 has undone his own country. Jack Charlton has taken the Republic of Ireland to an historic victory.
So the Republic of Ireland are no more the bridesmaid, but they're fast becoming the bride. 1990, Italy. The whole campaign was a bit of a landmark for the Republic of Ireland, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we felt at that time that we were afraid of nobody in the world, and that the type of game we played would cause them problems, and that we could do well there. We always felt that. I mean, People always underestimated some of the players we had playing for the Republic of Ireland. You know, I mean, the Liam Bradys of this world, and the Paul McGraths, the Mick McCarthys, the Kevin Morans, the Ronnie Whelans. I could go on forever just naming players who were good professionals in this country, and who represented Ireland in exactly the same way. I just gave them a way to play, a different way to play. Very important that you do that. You see, in international football, you don't get much time. You can't change the system every time you play. You've got to have one way of playing that they can go away and work with the football clubs and play with the football clubs and then come back and pick up and understand the game you want them to play. And it's got to be very simple, not got to be complicated in any way, shape or form. And you've got to give them somewhere to start. The only thing I gave them to start was behind people. We encouraged them at all times to play the ball behind the defenders. Then once you'd got them turned facing their own goal, we then pushed up on them and made it difficult for them to get out.
What were the most...
It was called applying pressure, and we did this very, very well. And lots of clubs, countries were prepared to play against us, but within 10 minutes they'd forgot how to handle it, and they would revert back to their own game. And I mean, I've had coaches sat with me in Ireland that have been there to watch us play. I got a friend from Russia who came over, and I was sat with him, and he's saying to me, "Jackie, why do you tell us these things?" I said, "Because there's bugger all you can do about it." And he went, yeah, you know, this is the way it is.
What were the games that stood out for you in that particular tournament in Italy?
The Dutch game, I think, that was a game that was a great game until 10 minutes from the end, when the players on the field decided that 1-1 was enough. We both qualified through, no problem.
And Koeman has found Hullet. Kieft, Hullet, danger here. It's Ruud Hullet. It's a great goal. Magnificently taken. He's back in style. The Hullet of old has broken the Irish defence after 10.5 minutes. Now the flag stayed down here. There's Cascarino, and it came off Van Aale. Oh, and yes, Quinn was in there. Niall Quinn, they've equalised in quite amazing circumstances. Van Breukelen, the goalkeeper, has made an error, and Niall Quinn has pounced, and Ireland are level. It's the long kick, really, that starts it. Cascarino with Rijkaard, but look at Van Aale's back pass, and Van Breukelen makes a real mess of it, and it's 1-1. Jack Charlton standing there wondering how much more stoppage time the French referee is going to bother with here. We're already up to 3 minutes. I suppose he's conscious that FIFA will be watching all this. And there it is, and it looks as though both Holland and the Republic of Ireland have qualified for the second round. A huge wave of celebration goes round the stadium from both sets of supporters. And the Republic of Ireland, on their first ever appearance in the World Cup finals, have got beyond the first group stage. And what a party they're going to have on the strength of that.
We then went on to play the Romanians. That was a long, hard game because it was in a very enclosed stadium and it was very, very hot in the place. And we finished up drawing with them, and then we went into a penalty shootout, and we scored 5, they scored 4. I frightened to death when I saw David O'Leary come up to take the 5th penalty. If he scored it, we're through. If he missed it, we've got to go on with the penalty shootout. And I never trusted centre-backs to take penalties. But David came up and he just took it away, no problem.
Ireland! They are in the last 8 and the party can begin.
That must have been the most incredible feeling.
For Ireland, for a country the size of Ireland, and with the players and the number of people we had, to get that far in a World Cup, somebody told me that nobody had ever got that far with the size of nation that we were. And I mean, the game of football in Ireland is not the big game over there. The Gaelic games take most of the, you know, the time of the Irish people. Football, of course, now is on an up, and everybody in Ireland understands and knows about football.
94, United States. Again, another fantastic tournament for the Irish. New Jersey, the Italians. Tell me about it.
It was just a big game. I mean, it was enormous. The stadium had about 70, 80,000 people in it, packed. And it was the opening game of the tournament. We won 1-0. I thought we deserved to win. John Sheridan, I remember, missed a great chance with about 10 minutes to go to make it 2-0. And when he hit the bar, when he should have really stuck it away. But great day. I mean, the Irish loved it because New York is one of the capitals of the Irish population in America. And all those parties all over the place. We finished up at a race course down the corner having drinks with everybody. And they opened the race course up for all the Irish. There were thousands of them there. Great day, great day.
Knocked down by Houghton, goes for the shot, and scored! Ray Houghton!
We did great in New York. We beat the Italians in New York. We could have beat the Norwegians if we'd have pushed it, but we only needed a draw. So But when we went back down to Orlando, it was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I woke up on the morning of the game against the Mexicans, and there was a cloud in the sky, and we kicked off at 12 o'clock, and somebody said to me that the temperature on the surface was 120 degrees on the grass. 120 degrees. I felt that a lot of our players couldn't handle it.
Away from Phelan. Hermosillo. Shot from Garcia. Luis Garcia with 2 minutes of the first half remaining. Good turn. Garcia. Oh, they gave him shooting space again, and he scored again.
Yet it was a very successful tournament. Do you
Well,
remember?
we qualified through the first group, and we went and got beat by the Dutch in Orlando again. But then again, you see, our type of game is not suited to that heat. The Dutch's game was. They're good possession passes, and they've got good people and good movement. In fact, at that time, the Dutch were probably one of the best teams in the world.
Here's Overmars, Bat can't get to him, it's Bergkamp! It's that man again. No reaction on the face of Mrs. Charlton and setters. Good play by Wim Jonk. Goes for the shot this time. Oh, Pat Bonner. Oh dear, oh dear.
Can you explain the relationship that you have with the Republic of Ireland fan?
No idea. No idea. I've never had aggravation for 1 minute with anybody in Ireland. Never. I've never delved in the politics of the countries. That taboo. Nothing. I'm there to do the football job, and that only. But whenever I travelled in Ireland, they won't let me buy a drink. If I walk into a pub and I say a pint of Guinness, the landlord will either say, it's on the house, Jack. Or there'll be somebody along the thing saying, no, I'll get that one. I mean, there were rumours about me writing cheques and things and putting them up as a load of crap. That was an old Stanley Matthews story. There's not one person in Ireland or one pub in Ireland that's got a cheque signed by me for any reason whatsoever, which is... But I just had this... I think it's because I tried to explain, and I wasn't trying to explain what had happened, what you did. The questions I answered, they understood. Maybe it's because I'm a Geordie and they understood a Geordie better than they would understand somebody from London. No, I don't know. But I've still got a great relationship to this day. I mean, I'm going over there next week. I'm really looking forward to it because I love the Irish. And I am an Irish citizen. They made me an Irish citizen. Mary Robinson and Dick Spring and big event and got all the passports and everything done. I think I'm about the 6th person to be made an Irish citizen this century or in history, and which was a great honour for me, and I love that. I love that.
I must ask you, is it true that you met the Pope and he refers to you as the boss?
Yeah, it was great. I tell that story when I'm doing dinners actually now, about the Pope sometimes, because it was strange. I mean, the audience chamber in Rome holds about 7,000 people, and we were on the stage where the Pope was, and I was the nearest guy in the whole auditorium to the Pope, and we were there for about 4 hours, and I kept not enough, and so did he. While all the people were explaining, you know, and what was going on. I'm not a Catholic, so. And when the guy, his aide came across to me and said, "The Pope would like to meet you, Mr. Charlton," and I said, "Well, I'm not a Catholic, you know. The lads, let the lads, the pictures and that." And I said, "I don't know what to do." He said, "You just say Your Eminence when he speaks to you, or when you speak to him, Your Eminence." And so I went across, and he was talking to little Charlie, our bootman, Charlie, and Charlie was looking up at him, and then he sort of turned and saw me, and he turned towards me, and he put his hand out, and I shook hands with him, and his aide said to him, "This, Your Eminence, this is Mr. Charlton," and he said, "Yes, I know." He said, "The boss," and he shook hands with me, and then we talked a couple of minutes. I can't remember anything about it, but it was a tremendous day. It really was.
No regrets, Jack?
None at all. None at all. I'd like to have won something with the Irish. I'd like to win a World Cup with the Irish or European Championships. We came quite close, but we always seemed to just lack that little extra player that would give you that little bit extra dimension. We always just seemed to lack that. We were capable of beating everybody, but we just always lacked. Maybe it was a lack of a bit of pace, because all the people I had playing for me up front, we never had one with real pace. Maybe if we had had that, we might have gone on to bigger things. But I love me 10 years with the Irish, and I wouldn't have swapped them for the world.
Some people are on the pitch, they think it's all over. It is now.